Welcome to our deep dive.
Okay.
And today we've got Wajid Khan's website that someone sent to us.
Right?
And I've got to say, this isn't your average developer portfolio.
Yeah.
Um, 18 plus years working on city waste management systems, pest control applications.
Wow.
We're not talking about building another social media app here.
Right.
This is hardcore real world stuff.
Yeah.
Um, what's your first impression? What kind of story does this tell you?
Well, what's fascinating here is that Wajid's working at the intersection of traditional software development and specialized industries.
Okay.
So it's a trend we're seeing more and more, and it speaks to the need for developers who can bridge that gap.
Yeah, you've called him a full stack developer,
Yeah.
which I know is a hot term these days.
Mm-hmm.
But looking at these projects,
Right.
it's clearly more than just buzzwords.
Yeah.
How does his full stack mastery allow him to tackle these insanely complex systems?
Being full stack means he understands both the front end,
Right.
what the user sees, and the back end,
Okay.
the engine driving the application. Yeah.
And in Wajid's case, his projects involve intricate systems with so many moving parts. Data from sensors, GPS coordinates, integration with other systems.
Yeah.
Being full stack lets him handle a much larger chunk of the development process,
Right.
which is crucial for efficiency in these large-scale projects.
Yeah, it's like he's the architect, the construction worker, and the interior decorator all in one.
Mm-hmm.
But instead of a house, he's building these massive interconnected systems that keep cities running.
That's a great analogy.
Let's jump into a specific project.
Okay.
The Integrated City Waste Management System caught my eye.
Right.
What was Wajid's role, and what were the key challenges involved?
He wore a lot of hats on this one. System architect, senior software engineer, and team lead.
Wow.
The project itself aimed to streamline every aspect of city waste management.
Okay.
Collection routes, landfill tipping, even cleaning contracts.
Right.
The complexity is mind-boggling.
Yeah.
You've got real-time data from vehicles, potentially GPS tracking, integration with weighbridge systems.
And then the reporting and management on top of it all.
I bet you've encountered similar logistical nightmares in your own work.
I have.
How does Wajid's approach to data integration using tools like Oracle and ArcGIS differ from what you've seen?
The use of ArcGIS is particularly interesting.
Okay.
It highlights the importance of spatial data in optimizing routes, tracking vehicles, and managing disposal locations.
Right.
It's not just about writing code.
Yeah.
It's about understanding how waste management operates in the real world and translating that into a digital system.
So that brings us to the landfill and weighbridge automation system with its live 24/7 syncing to a central data center.
Mm-hmm.
What were the key takeaways from his work here?
Wajid took on a more hands-on role in this project,
Okay.
implementing both back-end and front-end functionalities,
Yeah.
including a desktop application.
Right.
It was all about automating the weighbridge process, recording vehicle attendance, waste sources, everything
Right.
in real time, all synced to a central hub. Imagine the efficiency gains no more manual data entry, fewer errors, and a centralized view of all waste inflow.
This is a great example of how technology can play a key role in sustainability efforts.
It is.
Accurate data on waste leads to better decisions about recycling and resource management.
Absolutely.
And it's clear Wajid understands this connection between technology and real-world impact.
He does.
Shifting gears slightly, let's look at the Riyadh Municipality Field Audit mobile app.
Okay.
This seems to bring in that mobile development expertise you mentioned earlier.
This project was all about ditching paper and bringing field inspections into the digital age.
Interesting.
Things like street cleaning, facility audits, labor force checks, all done through a mobile app.
Wow.
Wajid was involved in every step.
Yeah.
The architectural design, building the back-end web services, the front-end interface,
Right.
and the critical data synchronization module.
Mhm.
Everything captured in the field gets sent back to the central system.
Essentially, he built the bridge between those boots-on-the-ground inspections and the data insights the municipality needs.
Yes.
Speaking of bridges, his experience building a web-based GIS mapping solution using ESRI ArcGIS Server seems especially relevant here.
That's a great observation.
Okay.
While it might seem different, his GIS skills are incredibly complementary to his other work.
Right.
Think about it. Waste collection routes, landfill locations, even pest control zones, these all have a spatial component.
Right.
GIS expertise allows him to integrate location data into these systems,
Yeah.
enabling things like route optimization and interactive maps for reporting.
It's like adding another layer of intelligence to these systems,
Yeah.
literally mapping out the problems and solutions.
Exactly.
Before we move on, can you talk a little about his early experience setting up a data center?
Sure.
That seems like the foundation for everything that followed.
Absolutely. He was involved in establishing a distributed application development and production data center. That's everything from installing hardware to setting up software, configuring backups,
Right.
essentially building the infrastructure that all these applications run on.
Mm-hmm.
This gives him a deep understanding of how the entire system works, from the physical hardware to the software applications.
So he's not just building applications, he's building the very foundation they run on.
Exactly.
And that's just the first part of his journey.
Right.
Next, we'll delve into his work with pest control systems, which has a slightly more,
Okay.
shall we say, exterminatory vibe to it.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this pest control management and reporting system,
Yeah.
it sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie.
Yeah.
But I have a feeling the reality is even more complex.
Yeah.
What exactly were the goals of this system, and what role did Wajid play?
Well, from what I understand, it was designed for a municipality
Okay.
looking to streamline its pest control and prevention services.
Right.
So we're talking about a platform for managing field data, monitoring activity, tracking assets and resources.
Yeah.
A whole digital ecosystem for keeping those creepy crawlies in check.
Wow.
His website says he served as a system architect, senior software engineer, and team lead.
Okay.
Talk about wearing a lot of hats.
Yeah.
He was responsible for everything from analyzing existing pest control practices to selecting the technology stack, designing APIs, even implementing the back-end and front-end applications.
Wow, that's a huge scope.
Yeah.
Given the challenges of integrating field data collection,
Right.
this must have gone way beyond just building a website.
Oh, yeah.
We're talking about mobile apps for pest control teams, GPS tracking, maybe even data coming from sensors.
Yeah.
What kind of tech stack did he end up using for this project?
Well, he mentioned C#, ASP.NET MVC, and SQL Server.
Okay.
So it's definitely some parallels with the waste management systems we discussed earlier.
Right.
But I imagine the user interface and data visualization for a pest control system must be quite different.
Yeah.
Did he mention anything about that?
He didn't go into specifics.
Okay.
But it's safe to say that presenting data effectively in a system like this is critical.
Right.
Imagine dashboards showing pest activity hotspots,
Yeah.
trends over time,
Okay.
maybe even predictive models to anticipate outbreaks.
Wow.
It all comes back to that idea of connecting the physical world with the digital, turning raw data into actionable insights.
And that brings us to another area where Wajid's skills really shine.
Okay.
His work with SAP.
Right.
Specifically on SAP BO Business Intelligence Reporting System.
Mm-hmm.
Can you give us a quick overview of what SAP is and why this experience is so relevant?
So SAP is a giant in the world of enterprise resource planning software.
Yeah, but-
Businesses use it to manage core processes like finance, HR, supply chain, and more.
Wow.
Wajid's experience with SAP Business Objects, that's the reporting and visualization tool,
Right.
shows he can handle large data sets and present them in a way that's meaningful for decision makers.
Yeah.
In this specific project, he automated report scheduling and distribution, making sure the right people got the right information at the right time,
Right.
all through web and email channels.
It's incredible to see how his skill set keeps building.
It is.
From coding the applications to managing the data that flows through them.
Yeah.
He's covering so much ground.
Mm-hmm.
It reminds me of his work on that web-based GIS mapping solution we touched on earlier.
Right.
At first glance, GIS mapping seems like a departure from pest control and waste management.
Yeah.
But when you think about it, the connection is clear.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Remember, many of Wajid's projects involve managing physical assets and operations in the real world.
Right.
GIS expertise adds a whole new layer of intelligence to these systems, allowing him to integrate location data and create interactive maps that help people make better decisions.
It's like he's constantly connecting the dots, finding ways to leverage different technologies to solve complex problems. We've seen this throughout his career, from building a data center from scratch to automating weighbridges and even tracking those pesky pests.
Yeah.
But what I'm most curious about is how this incredible journey translates to the world of remote work and startups.
Okay.
That's a whole different ballgame.
You're right.
Yeah.
And that's where things get really interesting.
I guess, right?
We've seen how Wajid thrives in environments that require deep technical expertise,
Yeah.
a problem-solving mindset,
Right.
and the ability to manage complex projects.
Right.
But can those skills translate to the fast-paced, often chaotic world of a startup?
Yeah.
That's what we'll explore in the final part of our deep dive.
We've spent the last 2 parts of this deep dive exploring Wajid Khan's incredible portfolio,
Right.
from building data centers to tackling those complex systems for waste management and pest control. But now we're turning to a potential turning point in his career.
Okay.
His interest in remote work in the startup world.
Right.
This is where things get really interesting for me.
Yeah.
We've seen how he thrives in these large, structured environments.
Yeah.
But how do those skills translate to the fast-paced,
Right.
often chaotic world of a startup?
Yeah.
Help me understand this transition.
Okay.
What are the potential pitfalls here?
It's a great question, and one that many experienced professionals grapple with
Right.
when considering the startup world.
Yeah.
One of the biggest differences is the organizational structure,
Okay.
or lack thereof.
Right.
Startups are often flat, agile, with everyone wearing multiple hats. For
Yeah.
someone used to leading teams and working within a hierarchy,
Right.
that can be a big adjustment.
Yeah.
Wajid might find himself in a much smaller team,
Okay.
maybe even working independently at times.
Right.
And that requires a different set of collaboration skills.
And it's not just the team dynamics that are different.
Right.
The pace of work,
Yeah.
the decision-making processes, the level of ambiguity, it's all amplified in a startup environment. You need to be comfortable with constant change, shifting priorities,
Yeah.
and a lot of unknowns.
Absolutely.
They can be exhilarating for some,
Right.
but overwhelming for others.
Yeah.
Do you think Wajid's background has prepared him for this kind of environment?
That's the million-dollar question.
Right.
On the one hand, his experience with large, complex projects suggests he can handle pressure, manage his time effectively, and see the big picture.
Yeah.
He's a problem solver by nature.
Right.
And that's essential in any startup.
Okay.
But on the other hand,
Yeah.
he's used to a certain level of structure and predictability.
Right.
In a startup, things can change on a dime.
Yeah.
And you need to be able to adapt quickly.
Yeah.
It's a different kind of pressure.
It's interesting to think about the specific skills that would be most valuable in this transition.
Yeah.
We've talked about his technical expertise, his full-stack mastery,
All right.
his understanding of data integration, and his experience with cloud platforms like Azure. Those are all huge assets for any startup looking to build scalable, robust systems.
Absolutely.
But what about the softer skills? Communication, collaboration, adaptability.
Right.
How do those come into play?
Those soft skills are absolutely crucial in a startup environment.
Right.
Communication is key, being able to clearly articulate your ideas, listen to feedback, and collaborate effectively with a small team.
Yeah.
Adaptability is also essential,
Okay.
as is the ability to learn quickly and wear multiple hats.
Right.
And let's not forget the entrepreneurial mindset,
Right.
the drive to take ownership, be proactive, and think outside the box.
Yeah.
These are all qualities that successful startup founders and employees share.
So we've got this incredibly talented developer with a proven track record of success in these challenging environments.
Right.
He's got the technical chops,
Yeah.
the problem-solving skills, and the leadership experience. But he's also stepping into a world that's vastly different from what he's used to.
It is.
It's like watching a seasoned climber preparing to tackle a new mountain range.
Yeah.
There's excitement, anticipation, but also a healthy dose of uncertainty.
Right.
What do you think?
Well,
Will he thrive
yeah.
in this new landscape?
It's impossible to predict the future with certainty,
Right.
but I can say this.
Okay.
Wajid has many of the qualities that make successful entrepreneurs and startup employees. He's a technical expert,
Right.
a problem solver,
Yeah.
and a leader.
Okay.
He's shown a willingness to embrace new challenges and learn new skills.
Right.
And he's clearly passionate about using technology to make a real-world impact.
Yeah.
Those are all incredibly valuable assets in the startup world.
I love that perspective.
Yeah.
Focusing on the potential and the possibilities, it's been fascinating to dissect Wajid's career trajectory,
It has.
to see how he's built this incredible foundation of knowledge and experience.
Right.
And now, as he considers this leap into the world of remote work and startups,
Yeah,
we're left with more questions than answers.
that's true.
But that's the beauty of it, isn't it?
It is.
The unknown is what makes the journey exciting.
Absolutely.
And remember, you can explore Wajid's website for yourself.
You can.
The link is in the show notes.
It is a great example of how to showcase your skills and experience
Yeah.
in a way that tells a compelling story.
Right.
Who knows, maybe this deep dive will inspire some of you to consider your own next chapter,
Yeah.
to explore new opportunities,
Right.
and to embrace the exciting world of technology and innovation.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Of course.
We'll see you next time, ready to unpack another fascinating story and explore the possibilities together.